Lokati here. Today we are bringing back Flickerstrike in Path of Exile 2. This is going to be a Deadeye Flickerstrike build. We are using Deadeye for a couple of skill interactions. We're looking at Avidity, which gives us a 30% chance to gain maximum frenzy charges whenever we would gain frenzy charges. And we are looking at Resonance, which converts our gained frenzy charges into power charges that we can spend on Flickerstrike. We're also running Power Within for more maximum power charges. We are running Lust for Power for more maximum power charges, and a 5% chance to gain power charges become maximum power charges. And Frenzy Charges is a 5% chance to gain maximum Frenzy Charges whenever we would gain Frenzy Charges. Now, these interactions all work together, but in different ways. So our maximum frenzy charges is 4. So when this triggers or this triggers, we get 4 frenzy charges. When this triggers, we get 8 power charges. These 4 and 4 can convert over to power charges via the combat resonance node up here. And so sometimes whenever you hit, you'll gain 4 power charges. Sometimes when you hit, you'll gain 1. Sometimes when you hit, you'll gain 8. And both of these could trigger at the same time and also give you. So there's a lot of different ways to generate the charges so that we can power our 2 main abilities, which are Charged Staff and Flickerstrike. Now, outside of that, the rest of our tree mostly focused around maximum power charges, additional power charges, build up bonus damage for electricity and cold damage, and more crit damage. And it's a very crit oriented build. But we will have some build guides down below on where you can get at different skill points in the game, kind of the progression of the build. I would recommend leveling this from 1 to 52 as a poison-based bow build, which is a very, very smooth, fast leveling process. And I'll have that build guide posted down below as well. But once you hit 52, you can immediately swap over to Flickerstrike and have a lot of fun. Now, as far as skills go, we are running Wind Dancer, Combat Frenzy, and Ghost Dance as our 3 auras here. Wind Dancer, we have Blind and Magnified Effect, so that just knocks things back further away and blinds them to give you some survivability whenever you do get hit by a melee attack. Combat Frenzy, we are converting the frenzy charges from Combat Frenzy into power charges. And then, of course, we have a 50% chance for this to give us an additional frenzy charge. And then Ghost Dance, we're running fast forward so that it has a faster recharge time on the Ghost Dance. On Flickerstrike, I'm running Heavy Swing, Perpetual Charge, Heft, and Close Combat. I'm not sure exactly where these are going to play out. We'll look in the builder a little bit more. There's a lot of flexibility on this, but Flickerstrike is not the #1 source of damage. Flickerstrike is just how we do damage. We're running Tempest Flurry with Life Tap, Martial Tempo, and Cold Exposure. This just allows us to generate combo points so that we can drop our bell, and Tempest Fury gives a ton of attacks, play well with Charged Staff, and then our Brotherhood Topaz Ring converts all of the lightning damage from Tempest Flurry to cold damage, and then we're using that to trigger Combat Frenzy, as well as just maintain a very high uptime on the best defense in the world, and that is enemies don't get to play the game. On our Charged Staff, this is the money skill. So I know this is a Flickerstrike build, but Charged Staff is doing all of the damage. We have 8 maximum power charges in the build currently. It means we do 8 to 80 added damage onto our staff, and every time we hit, we trigger a shockwave for 82% of our damage, and it converts all that physical damage to lightning damage. And then, of course, lightning damage gets converted to cold damage freezes, Charged Staff freezes, triggers everything else, and does metric tons of damage. So Charged Staff is where all of your damage is. You'll know real easy. If Charged Staff is not up, nothing dies. If Charged Staff is up, everything dies. Tempest Bell is pretty straightforward ability for anyone who has played a quarterstaff build. Tempest Bell drops on the ground. You hit Tempest Bell, it rings, it does damage. Quality is very important on this ability. You get 6 additional hits onto it, so it goes from 17 to 23. And we trigger that very, very quickly with Tempest Flurry and Charged Staff. Both of those, both the Shockwave and the hits from Tempest Flurry trigger the bell. The bell rings out, does damage. Elemental Focus, so more damage from the bell. We don't really care about inflicting elemental elements. We've got elemental elements coming in from Flurry and from Flickerstrike and from Charged Staff. And then we have Overabundance, so we can have 2 bells down at a time, and we can create the combo points for a bell while there is a bell down. And then Persistence, just so that the bell is on the ground longer in case we need to move around while we're doing things and the bell doesn't vanish and not get any done on it. Sniper's Mark is the other way that we're generating frenzy charges converted to power charges. Sniper's Mark, Arcane Tempo for cast speed, and Ingenuity for cooldown recovery speed on it. And we're literally just spamming this the entire time we're playing the game so that we get as many Sniper's Marks out as possible. And this is where crit becomes important, because if the target dies before you crit them, then the mark does not grant us a frenzy charge. So crit does become very, very important to the build in general. Now, the build guides down below will be a little bit more detailed. This is just in-game proof of concept that the build works. We have just leveled it today, so this is day 1 on the build. We're about to go through the last area and kill Doriani, so we will see how that goes. Tanking on the build has been very solid. We are an evasion armor hybrid. Again, we are taking some evasion armor hybrid nodes on the tree so that we use pure evasion chest and pure energy helm, a la trickster style defenses, and we do have a ton of evasion and a reasonably good health pull and energy pull, especially for being level 65 in the campaign. Now our gear here is not ideal, and we'll have ideal gear down in the build guide, but this is just what we're working with. You want a high fizz damage staff. This is a level 50 staff, so get one better than this. Attack speed is very, 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 very good. Get attack speed on your staff. You'd also like to have melee fizz skills on there. Base fizz staff is excellent. On our helm, we just want a pure energy shield helm with life and resistance. This armor, we want a pure evasion armor with life and resistance. This amulet is really nice. It's just a big max life amulet with melee skills and resistances. The Call of the Brotherhood ring is a cheap way to convert all our lightning damage to cold damage so that we have more. And then you want another ring with some lightning resistance another ring with some resistances and some max life, and ideally some damage on it. My gloves are currently carrying the brunt of the work on both fizz damage at least life and damage at least mana. On your belt, you want life and resistances, and we are running Power Tread hunting shoes for our boots right now because the +1 max power charge is nice and critical damage bonus is nice. But I think late game, we're probably still going to be better off just running rare boots that have very, very good stats on them. So that is our gear setup right there. That's our passive tree. That's our skills. Let's go ahead and hop in here and see how it does inside chambers. Now, initially, you'll always be like super weak because until we get charged staff up, but now we have charged staff. And everything dies. And everything dies very quickly. You'll really only need to use Bell with charged staff versus big tanky rares. But if you want to, you can always drop the Bell and get more damage. As you can see, almost everything is frozen all the time. This is powering our charges. And Flickerstrike in a multi-target situation is not going to be your best clear. So most of the time, whenever you're up like this, you're just going to be using your Tempest Flurry and killing things with Tempest Flurry and Bell like that. If you want to use Flickerstrike, you absolutely can. As you can see, we always have a lot of charges. Burn your Flickerstrike, run around, get this next pack, maybe get a Sniper's Mark out here and get a crit off, and then you got charges again, and then you can Flickerstrike again. So you'll always have charges available. Now, your charge staff, again, is the most important part of the character, so make sure you do keep that up. You can see we've got 20 seconds left on it up there with 8 charges, 8 power charges. I want to say it goes up to like 55 or 50 seconds duration. And any use of a power charge refreshes the duration and or adds to the number of charges that it has. And so right there we hit it and we're back up to 45 seconds. Now you can see there we gained 1 Frenzy Charge, and then we gained 4. So we had 2 abilities that triggered. One of them rolled or we gained Power Charges. One of them rolled percentage chance to max Frenzy Charges, and that gives us 4. The other one was just a flat Power Charge gain from a Frenzy Charge. Are we going the right way? Probably not. Get 30 seconds. Plenty of time on this one right here. Go ahead and burn a Flickerstrike to move around more and look for the exit. And use those 2 charges to very quickly our duration on our charge staff up again. And then of course we hit the +8 charges there. And then we hit the Flickerstrike not charges. Now, just from a metagaming perspective, when you're going into a boss like this, it's always nice to have some fresh power charges coming in, so that while it's playing out through all of the shenanigans, you can hold on to them and then refresh your charge staff right before combat. Ring the bell, drop the bell again, and Flickerstrike. And we phased him. Got plenty of time left in our charge staff, so we're just going to get 2 bells on the ground. Hopefully get a couple of power charges here. And then we will Flickerstrike. Thank you, Doriani, for all the loot. You have been wonderful. I appreciate your service. Alva will brief on what happens next. That's the build. If y'all have any questions, comments down below, or come and hit me on Twitch. I'm happy to answer them. We will get this build more and more sorted out over the next day or two, and I'll get you more build guides and more information on it. Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace.